Welcome in, welcome once again to the newest edition of 3 in 3 Out. I'm your host, Clinton Bonner. Find me out on the Twitterverse at Clinton Bond. I am joined by the one, the only, the great Brandon Schultz. Find him out on Twitter at Seahawkers Pod. And Brandon, we are slip sliding away. Brandon, we are slip sliding away. We all probably know the Paul Simon great 50 ways to leave your lover. Well, Brandon, at 2-5, this feels like 50 ways to lose our luster, my man. And I'm not feeling so good about it right now. Halfway across.
I'm glad you made that connection and not Pete Carroll as our lover. That was going to be awkward.
Well, you know what? Like most evenings for what is he, 70 years old now, right? So most evenings, Pete Carroll is
Pete Carroll is 70 years old. I have never heard that before.
Never heard that. And Jimmy Graham played basketball, right? So never hear these things. But most evenings, I'd say, or day games for that matter, as a 70-year-old man, Pete's he's a healthy, strapping 70, looking
great.
Did
you see how he threw that gum on the sideline? If that's not an in, and because the list of ins is going to be short, that has to be in, right?
Pete was looking rough, and he was looking like Mickey in the end of Rocky II. Mickey, he was having a bad hair day. He was chomping on that gum. He had his gums flaring out on a couple of. We'll talk a little bit about reps, but Pete didn't have a good look day, and our Seahawks, Brandon, we didn't have a good night day because I rewatched the game and I boiled down the ins and the outs, and we'll get into them. The macro was just yet another one where it's like, boy, oh boy, did we find ways to not win this game.
We found a lot of them, and I don't think
all of them. I think
just about every way. Yeah. And, just to go back to the commentary on how Pete Carroll looked, I think a big part of that was they had the graphic of Pete looking his usual self and getting hit by fish down at Pike Place. And then they cut to him immediately after that. And it was like, oh my gosh, did Pete age like 20 years from that graphic?
I'm telling you, man, he was he was Burgess Meredith as the Penguin himself, but later Mickey years, and he literally looked. And I'm not trying to pick on a man because hey, at some point, some days I don't.
Eventually, fingers crossed.
Yeah, some days I don't look. If I get to 70 and I'm coaching the Seahawks, huzzah! It's finally happened for me. I was just mad that with the whole Pike Place animation graphics that they had the little details about the Kraken, but Pete's animated guy is not, slapping back the 4-pack of the standard pink
4-pack.
Great pink, yeah.
Gotta have the straight pink 4-packer either in his pocket or chewing it.
I didn't see it in the pocket. He certainly wasn't chewing it. He's just getting berated by cold fish. So which kind of felt like this game. Going back to the game, just getting slapped with cold fish, because that's what this felt like. So
that's what you're in for, people. You're going to get slapped with cold fish some more in this episode.
Yeah, exactly. And we had to rewatch it. I don't know about you poor saps, but
you rewatched it.
I had to rewatch it. I went back and put myself through this. So we've got the ins, we've got the outs. We'll get to them already. We got From the Flock coming up later. Lots of great contributions. Saw some new people out on Twitter as well. I would say it was fun, but this game wasn't all that fun. It wasn't that fun. There were moments, and we'll get into some of those, but we don't win. We got to start with an out. Why don't we hop on over to it, Brandon, and just face the music? What do you say?
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So there were a lot. This was the thing on the rewatch. There's going to be so much stuff that we don't talk about. And it's gonna be like, oh wow, I can't believe you didn't discuss this as one of an out. There's a lot of that, and there's some on the inside too, but more on the outside. But I tried to stick with some that really, really kind of stood out to me. So it is 7-0 Seahawks. We're up. Quarter one, 4:15 left in the quarter, and it's 2nd and 10. We're at our own 30-yard line. What I don't understand is that when we run tight end screens or screens, they take an hour and a day to develop. We fool nobody, and we almost perpetually lose yardage on our screen game.
Mhm.
It's not a Russ thing. This is a Seahawks thing apparently. And then just watching, and then the flip side of this being 3 and 3 out, this is still the out, is our inability to screen. And then watching when the Saints screened against us, I'm fooled. I'm like, oh crap, we're gonna get to him. And then it's out of Jameis's hands in 2 seconds, and either
And it's a
Trapman or
25-yard gain.
yeah, if to Trapman or Kamara, and they're gone, and they've got their blockers, and Dunlap is at Jameis's ankles, and I'm off the couch thinking we got a sack coming. So Brandon, I have no idea if you could pinpoint what takes so long, but for me, it's just like every screen we try to run takes forever to try and execute. I don't know what the wrong is, but it's certainly an out.
Yeah, I just wonder if maybe they got lucky that one time with Geno in against the Rams,
Yeah.
because they ran it once successfully, and I was thinking, okay, maybe this is a Geno thing, and he's able to do it. Maybe it's a Russ thing, he struggles with it. No, it's the entire team, and that was one thing. Again, I go back to, on the Seahawkers podcast a couple weeks ago, Adam was saying that we're going to know a lot about this team over the next couple weeks. And I do feel like we're getting to know this team and what they're good at with Russ, what they're not good at without him. And there's a lot that they're not good at even without him. So
that's a way of putting it for sure. And it's and I just to talk about this for a second, there's a ton of that coming down on Pete, and the regime has got to end. That's the new thing, right? Not that it's new. Now it's at its peak. It's been simmering for years for some, and certainly throughout the last, let's say, 18 months for many. And now it's at its boiling point of like this administration's got to go. We have to have a sea change. And then there's still that part of me that goes, because this is not an out, there's still that part of me that goes, yeah. And if our kicker makes a few field goals, we do what we had to do. Like with a game where we don't have Russ, where it's friggin' pouring, we win the game. we win this ugly, crappy game. So there's that part of me that's still like, yeah, for all, or like, hey, we got to run the ball better. And then we come out versus that second half versus Pittsburgh, and we run it down their friggin' throats, So
yeah.
there's still that part to me that goes, I don't know that it's all Pete. I don't know how you're feeling yet.
Well, it definitely, I understand the reasons for the finger pointing toward the coaches, because without Russ, this just emphasizes those issues even more. And so talent level being an issue, you can point to the general manager. Why is this team look so bad, especially the offensive line looks so bad when you have Kyle Fuller in there in a center position you didn't address in the offseason. Not making the switch to Ethan Posick, which I don't think does you much good, if any. Jamarco Jones he's backup quality, but you aren't then making the changes that you would need to make on the offense to account for the fact that you have two backup caliber players in the middle of your offensive line. And it is showing in how the team performs, and they're not taking any extra chances, which you would think without your backup quarterback that you wouldn't be trying to play it so close. And because Pete has shown us that he'll play these field goal difference games, and they've just been on the wrong side of it now 3 out of 3 times.
Yeah, it's Breaking Bad, and we talked about like, hey, after a while you can only say, it's a game we could have won and should have won for so long, because when you don't,
I don't know if they should have won this one.
Oh,
they had one long touchdown to DK, and you said a couple of missed field goals, but one of those was a really long field goal.
Okay, that's fine and all, but there was also other times where we're driving and we just shoot ourselves in the foot, or New Orleans gets a chance to just keep on driving the ball for myriad reasons too. So at the very least, I thought this was again a very winnable game. I had as an honorary out, because there's so many damn outs to talk about. You mentioned Fuller already, so we could just hit that real quick. It was just, when Demario Davis just took over the game and decided fourth quarter was his, and that was just dominated. Fuller looked so bad. He just looked so, by the end of that game. And again, it's usually a guard center combo. Like one of them could help the other out. We've talked about that quite a bit. So you hit on Jamarco Jones being there too. But man, oh man, like there was 3 or 4, maybe 5 times in the last 15 minutes of the game, 20 minutes of the game, where all you saw was like Fuller, turned around fully facing Gino. It's like that's always a bad look.
Yeah,
Just completely turned around face. Like, you got burnt that bad again. So it was rough. I know that's a long out. There are some ins, believe it or don't. Let's get to some of the positives. Let's do it.
Are there some?
There are. I got 3. I got 3.
Okay, we'll find out.
I promise you. Okay, so there were some good things here. So one of the things I liked, this one's going to be, I think, controversial, because I think people could see the other side of it, and I think as Seahawks fans, we have seen the other side of it break the wrong way. But in this case, I liked it probably because it worked, to be honest, and because
I think I know where you're going with this,
and because I also like the idea of the the gamesmanship, the using the mental aspect to try to do something different. This is 7-0 Seattle, Q1 5:54. We already had the long DK touchdown where he beats Lattimore. They put the punt at the 1-yard line, and DK is goading Lattimore. Lattimore had, for all intents and purposes, a bad game. He took two 15-yard personal fouls. And in that particular instance, that's what got us, off the 1-yard line, right? We're from like the 1.5 to the 16.5 to the 17. And it was DK just doing these mental, like Hanson Brothers style slap shot things that goaded their best player, to the point where Lattimore could have been ejected for the types of, throws he was putting on DK. So I liked it. I liked the fact that I think he knew that there was something else that he had to do, or somebody had to do, to try and move the ball because of what they had there. So at least I could tip the cap to DK and say, I think he was trying something there, and he baited Lattimore multiple times. It worked.
If you can use your powers strategically, DK, then these are the times to use it, when you're backed up and on the 1-yard line. And yeah, he just threw a block that was, I haven't gone back to see if it was at the whistle or right after the whistle, but it definitely was not expected by Lattimore.
Oh, yeah.
And so he retaliated. And it was Lattimore that got caught. DK didn't. And yeah, if those are the kinds of plays that you if you're setting something up for those particular moments, that helps out the team.
And I didn't go back and watch, and meaning like any press conferences, or did people ask if he knew Lattimore has a short fuse, anything like that?
No,
but
I don't think DK spoke at the press conference after.
Gotcha.
After the game.
And the fact is, you got 2 alphas. You got 2 alphas. This is Megalodon and Godzilla. Like, let them fight. This is going to happen. Kong versus Godzilla, if you will. And you can bait that person like that. So it was just interesting. And yeah, he jacks him, like, meaning DK jacks Lattimore, whether that, again, right at the whistle or not, like he pops him really good. And it looks right around the edge of legal. And then he goats him. So, again, I think DK was probably in the mindset of, I got to try a few things here, especially we're at the 1-yard line. I've got to get in this guy's head. From the flock section later, I think there's a call out about DK kind of shedding the ghost of, not being able to go up against number 1 corners. So if anything, good year for that so far. So that's it. See, you said, are there any ins, Brandon?
Maybe it's one.
Yeah, I found one so far, and I got 2 more. All right, we have more outs. Hit the darn switch. We'll whammy it over there. All right. Here we are. Okay. So this is the encapsulation of, I think a lot of people have been talking about this one. And, the bottom line is we gave up 13 points. We should have won the game, in my opinion. Again, I still think we should have won the game. We gave up 13 points. The challenge was that with 2 minutes and 30 seconds to go in the first half, we gave them a touchdown without ever challenging their best player. And I know a lot of people are talking about this, and that's, on 3 and 3 out, typically we try to stay away from that. But I did go back and watch it. There's 5 completions on that drive. 1's to Troutman. The other 4 are, of course, to Kamara, and all he does is just get out of the, he's whatever 7 yards back or so.
Jameis had to complete like an 8-yard pass each time.
He runs a few yards forward, turns around, nobody's on him every single time. One time, Jameis drops the snap, and that's the touchdown. And when he catches it, he's got room to run. The touchdown, I think it's Neal, so I'm going to give Neal the out here. Neal is not only 7 yards off, but he's also like multiple yards like away horizontally. So if I don't know how to do the math on the fly there, but he's probably a good 12 yards distance from him. He's 7 yards deep. So I just don't get how that was allowed the entire way down the field. I'll even just stop there. It's like 5 receptions. There was only six positive plays. One was a Jameis run, a Troutman first down, 4 dinks to Kamara for a touchdown with no chance of stopping it at any point. I don't know what was your frustration level like at that point, seeing as we led the entire half, but I was pretty pissed at that point, Brandon.
This is, I think, where the frustration goes toward Pete. It goes toward Ken Norton Jr. because we saw the players when they were, when the players are good. They played well, I thought, against the Saints. This to me seemed totally unnecessary because going into this game, Pete said it was obvious what they needed to do. They needed to stop Alvin Kamara. And so for them to lose track of him for an entire drive, to me, was inexcusable. And as far as the coaching staff went,
and in the 2-minute drill,
right,
like where that, and listen, Traquan Smith looked horrible when you're getting chewed out by Jameis, and Jameis is right. I mean, Traquan Smith looked so bad. He stopped running on that one route. He had the play where he unfortunately ends up busting Marquise Blair kneecap on the PI. He was a horrible receiver. Callaway was okay. They had nothing. So in a 2-minute drill, they let them march right down the field. But other times in the game, they didn't allow that. They didn't like just give it up. It wasn't that Kamara didn't get more. Our run defense was freaking awesome. Not like okay. Our run defense was stout all day long. We let them do the one thing especially at the one time where it was very obvious about the one play that they could run over and over. I'm with you. That's got to be coaching. It's got to be, because
he even said in his interview with 710, if you're going to double a guy, there's something that you have to give up. And I understand that. Yes, there's something that you have to give up. So you end up having to go one-on-one with receivers. Or you know what? Maybe you only rush 3 and you put a dude out on Kamara when he's leaking out of the backfield. And then that way there's 2 guys there. I just don't understand how you can lose track of that guy in that moment and allow him to be the guy that takes him down on the field. And the Seahawks still had time after they got the ball back.
That was a disaster after they got the ball back. And one of the things about coaching, and I am near a Pete Carroll apologist at this point because I haven't changed my position, but the windows have shifted, right? Like the windows of all the tide has gone so far to one way that me kind of being where I think I always was and am, I'm an outlier now. Like I've shifted into apology territory, though I'm not. And one of the things like I can look at is like, what is Bill Belichick? If somebody says, hey, what's the one thing Bill Belichick will do with every single game plan? What does he always do?
Hey, take their one guy away.
Well, that's it. Like he will make sure.
But we know what Pete's thing is. Pete's thing is
in front of you. Well, culture, sure, but that and keep it in front of you.
I mean the thing that he does well. I
got you. Yeah. Hey, we talked about it for weeks. This team's still not giving up, and I don't expect they will. To be honest, I just don't think they're going to, which is a testament. But it's going to be like the late great Yogi Berra said. It's getting late early. So that's another out for me, man. That was just That I
Another
was
long out.
It's a long out. It's a long season. Hit that button. Okay. This one could be short because it's kind of a singular play.
Because it's an in, yes.
It's yeah. True fact. All right. That's funny. All right. 10-7, quarter three, about 12:05 to go. We're moving the ball a little bit. We're kind of like we started at, I think, at like our 10, something like that. It's after a punt. And we're moving the ball a bit. We're mustering a little things here and there. And we run this beautiful little jet sweep to Everett. Right. And out on the edge is Uncle Will. And Uncle Will just picture perfect textbook seal block out on one of the corners out there. And I think it might be Davis who ends up coming around and makes the tackle, I think. Yeah. And you can see Everett's pissed off. Everett, I think realizes he was about to run into, 2 or 3 Saints. It wasn't like he was going to take it much, much further. But you could tell if you watch the play, Everett gets up and kind of slams the ball back down, and not in a happy way.
Yeah, he was ready to blow up a defensive back.
Exactly, because he had a head of steam. So he was like, okay, dude, I am going to at least make you look stupid on national television and blow you back 3 or 4 yards. And he didn't get that chance. And you could tell he was visibly upset. Again, Demario Davis literally took over the game. He was the best player on the field, and it showed. However, I love the play. I love the play call. And then when it comes down to it, execution is our currency in life, right? You got to execute. Will Dissly, that is the perfect block. It was actually a well-timed call. It looked quick, and Everett ran it well. And I like the fact that he was actually pissed that he didn't get a chance to, maybe show up on Kyle Brandt's angry runs if he had gotten that opportunity. So quick in. I don't know if that one stood out to you as well there, Brandon.
It did stand out to me, and it would lead me down a path of another long out if I talk much more about this, because I just want more. I want more of that. Can we have more of that?
Oh yeah, I hear you. I think we might talk a little bit about the other stuff on this upcoming out here.
All right, let's get to it.
All right. Okay, we are moving right along here. So we are on to the last out. Thank the maker. So this one for me,
ready
man,
for a 20-minute.
Yeah, this is one of those outs where there's actually 17 outs and it goes for an hour and a half. Yeah, bear with us, people. But it's 10-7, quarter three, about 3:27 to go in the game, in the quarter. And I'm going to preface this by saying, Brandon, I'll preface it with the question. Brandon, when did we look like a better offense? When Rashad Penny was on the field or when Alex Collins was on the field?
That's not a legitimate question.
I mean, I'm kind of leading the witness.
In this game, really, I don't know if it mattered much. But...
Oh, no, it did. This is why I do implore you to go back and watch. Like, it did matter. But go ahead. I did ask the question, so I'm leading the witness at the very least.
Well, Alex Collins to me is the better back, and he's a little more decisive. Although I did see some indecision from him in this game that I was not too impressed with. But we know when I don't mind Alex Collins getting touches. I do mind when Rashad Penny is getting 6 touches and DK Metcalf is only being targeted 5 times.
100 and 1,000%, because I know that's plausible. And the thing here for me too was saying it earlier too, Collins was in the first drive of the game, right? They got that 3 and out, and talk about indecision. That 3rd down run looked like he maybe had a gap there, didn't take it. Okay. Collins did not hit the field again until the end of the first half. They put him out for that garbage, whatever. We ended up kneeling it down, whatever it was, right, after the no chance stuff. So he played, in reality, 1 drive in the first half. Then he doesn't hit the field until 6 minutes to go, 6:30 to go in quarter 3. Doesn't hit the field till then. And we moved the ball a lot. We got first downs with Collins in the game. Yeah. We moved the ball a lot better.
I remember this because we were in the Discord going, Jesus, Collins hurt.
He must be hurt. He must be hurt.
On the field.
So this is all leading up to it. But then we get into that hole where we just run Collins, right? And it's 10-7, quarter three, 3:27. This is the 3rd and 2 from shotgun, where we ran Collins, I think 2 times, and then Geno Smith, had the QB sneak. He got that on 3rd down. Then we ran Collins 2 more times. It's like, all right, we're in 3rd and 2. And I see them go back.
It was more like a yard and a half. But
yeah, exactly. It was. They marked this 3rd and 2. I had it on 3rd and 1, and I actually crossed that out on my thing when I rewatched it. You're right. So they go into the shotgun, into what it's going to be a read option draw. Everybody's watching it, and you see like Demario Davis and others like pointing, be like, we're going to crash down on this. And all year long, I've been like, man, going back to last year, when we run that play from shotgun and we have no threat whatsoever of a quarterback keep, you get what you get. They just all you have to do as a defender is just crash down on the dude from all sides. It's exactly what happened. And then we're punting the ball again. And the cornerback, number 22, he's taking like a shuffle step to the right because he's biting on the draw because he was correct. And I'm like, damn, dude, if we just pull the ball down one time, Geno's got, I'm not saying he's got, I'm not saying it's a cakewalk, but Geno's going to get those 2 yards, that yard and a half easily. So it was just this culmination of shrinking, not putting the ball in the air over and over and over again. And a 3rd and 2 from the shotgun, 3rd and 2, read option draw, which there was no read option. It was a straight draw. We knew it was coming. That was, to me, I at that point, I was like, I think we lost this game right then and there, man.
It felt like the low point of the game. And then on the very next drive was the Troutman fumble, and it's a gift. It's given back to us.
Ugh.
And then they run it 2 straight times again, and then an incomplete pass. And then they're able to kick the field goal. And fortunately, he did make that one. But it was like, okay, let's go. We got the turnover. This is the time. And then, the momentum, it seemed like the time. And I guess this would have been outworthy for me too, is that, okay, you want to, maybe they're thinking you're going to go for the, first down kill shot. And so you just want to run it to throw them off. On 2nd down, you got to go for it. You have run it 8 straight times. You have got to run play action there and try for the kill shot.
We needed it again. Like last week, we talked about, we earned the right to run it more, like against the Steelers, and it disappeared later in the game. This game, play action was, kind of non-existent. There just wasn't a lot of play action. And, I know the stat line for Collins doesn't look great at 2.2, but he also had a bunch of a plethora where he lost yardage, which I understand how averages work. I get that. But there were a lot of times where he should have lost 3. He got 2. He should have been tackled for, 0. He got 3 or 4. Like, he actually ran the ball pretty well. So it was just annoying. We set it up so we could take a shot or two, one that's definitely not an out, but Tyler Lockett, he's not very involved right now, but he drops that one down the sideline. I know that's a tough play, but we've seen Lockett make those now for how many years? 5-6 years straight. It's like that dude comes down with that ball. So it just, man, I'm with you.
And I suppose, we saw Geno drop back and then take a sack. And if he did it in that situation, then, they're outside field goal range again.
Yeah. No, and again, I get it all. I understand, like, we actually could have won this stupid game in a stupid way and just survived, because that's all we had to do is like, just get the friggin' W, go figure it out versus Jacksonville, and go get Russ back. Like that was all the game plan was. But again, we found ways to take that away from ourselves. Those are all
drive in the 4th quarter when they had the ball again, that Geno got sacked on 3rd and 11 and then made it 53 instead.
Oh, absolutely. And that one, they blow right through Fuller too, like right through. Like that one was actually, there were other ones where I was like, oh, Geno. That one, I think, is one where like he has no shot. That's the one Fuller's just completely turned around to us. I'm like, how is this possible? So
it's circled back around to give Fuller the last out of the triple out. Third out.
Yeah. Let's get, man, this is becoming a crappy habit, because when we win, we we know what we do. I'm not going to curse it, but when we lose, we get to finish with an in. But it's bittersweet. But I do have one more in, so let's get to it. Then we got the From the Flock, which is at least somewhat fun and witty. All right, here we go. So we got one more in. So it's 7-0, late Q2. This is 4:50 to go. And I'm going to preface this by a little bit of complaining about these referees. I understand the Marquise Blair penalty. I don't want to see that penalty called in the moment, not just because I'm a Seahawks fan, but because I actually think he got his shoulder where it had to be. Now, I get it. He also hit him a little in the head, and that's an automatic whatever. The one, I'm going to quarter to 4:50 to go. So you could probably understand where the in's going to go. I do want to say that at quarter to 12:30 to go, 12:30 was the DJ Reed penalty when they stopped him on third down, where they called PI on DJ Reed at 12:30 to go in quarter two. Okay. The same drive is what we're talking about here. So
Right.
quarter
That was a long drive.
8 minutes. The refs, I mean, again, can we stop them another time? Yes, we almost did. There was other times we stopped
fourth and ones that they could have stopped them on.
Correct. So I understand there's other
and
things
one where they false started and they didn't call it.
Correct. Exactly. On that play where Adams is pointing to the guy like, yeah, they both jumped, no call. But the refs effectively gave them 8 minutes. 8 minutes, which is just crazy. But we're down at the goal line now. It's that second and goal play. So the next play, just to cement your memory, is Jordan Brooks making the tip in the end zone to either prevent a touchdown or potentially a Jamal Adams drop. We don't know. We don't know how that would have played out. But he makes a great play. The play right before that is, they're marching at this point. It's Bobby, Puna, Woods, and even Cody Barton like busting through the line and stopping Kamara deep to then make it third down. They get the Brooks, and then they have to kick a field goal and make it 7-3. That was given how long they were on the friggin' field and how well we stopped the run throughout the entire game, it was a beautiful, beautiful series and a beautiful play. So I want to give some love to that front seven, because they sure as heck played well enough to win this football game.
Yeah, that I would give that to Puna Ford, particularly for that what was it, second down where he took him down for a tackle for the loss. Really, yeah, after all that, I expected that to be a touchdown, just because the way that they were going, the way they were moving the ball, and really for Ford and for Brooks to save that from being a touchdown to only being a field goal after, yes, all of the things that happened before that, and all starting with that really lame penalty on DJ Reed. Man, yeah, that was quite the series.
It was, and it just, again, it's, if there's anything,
are we in? You're depressing me with this in.
No, I know, but but I was going to say, if there's anything to anchor around, is that we're good at stopping the run. This is a good run stuffing team, and we do lead the NFL in third down conversions on defense. I can't give up. It's just not in my nature. I can't. So at 2-5 to go play Jacksonville before a bye, I could sit here and be like, there's still a path. There's still a path. So I'm not going to give up on the team just yet. So I could anchor around the idea that, yeah, we have played. I know these are not great offenses, but we have played better defense. Flat out, we have played better. We've played well enough to win a couple of games. Didn't get it done. Hey, one player that's not making the list, and it was tough because it was like a couple of bozo plays that bookended his day. Al Woods in the middle of the game had one of his best games I've ever seen him play. He was phenomenal. And he had that kind of jumpy offsides at the beginning where he's coming off the sideline that gave him a free first down. And of course he goes offsides on a field goal attempt. And, oy vey, like, just what can you say? But like, that was heartbreaking stuff, because Old Thigh Arms played one of the better games I've seen him play in a Seahawks uniform, sans two really bad plays.
And we turned the final into an out. Well done.
Wunderbar. All right, we are on to From the Flock. This is when you get to share your misery with us as well in this 2-5 season. and it's a lot of fun. People get to, they get to commiserate quickly on the nooks and crannies that you saw throughout the game. And we always like to tell you how the heck you can get involved. And Brandon, I always pass this torch to you because you're good at this. Go ahead.
If you want to get involved, you can go to patreon.com/flock, and you can donate $3 a month. You can be a part of our Discord group. We chat on game day. We have a channel just for 3 in, 3 out, and that's where we're going to get a lot of our ins and outs for today. But you can also comment on Twitter at Clinton Bond. Use the hashtag 3i30, and I'm sure we got some of those in here too.
We did. We got some of those. We got some Seahawkers pod Ring of Honor. It was a smorgasbord. It was quite nice. Saw a few new names out on Twitter, which is always kind of cool. People saying they love the show. That's always nice. Hey, if you like the show, tell us. If you don't like the show, keep it to yourself. I don't want. I'm sensitive. I don't want.
They're not listening anymore by now, anyway.
I hope they are. If you're still listening, drop us a line and say I listened. It's like
and I listened this far, and I don't like you.
Yeah, exactly. And all I got with this lousy t-shirt. So speaking of lousy, we got some great comments from Delwyn from Down Under. The man is from Australia. He has the out, says out, DK getting aggro against Lattimore. Then he goes in, DK getting away with it, which is what we talked about. That was an in for me. So the Aussie calling out the yin and the yang that is DK Metcalf.
Josh DeHuman coming in with 3 ins. Jordan Brooks forcing the field goal. Defense playing tough, and Reed and Brown playing tough at cornerback. And Reed, Brown, and throw in the Jones in there as well. I thought all the corners played pretty well. And maybe it wasn't just the corners. Maybe the fact that the wide receivers being bad for the Saints had a little bit to do with it too. But hey, congrats to the corner.
It's okay. And Sidney Jones played better, right? I mean, there was at least a couple of plays where he was contesting more aggressively. Which is good. And I still want to see more Trey Brown. There was still some softness where it's like, I think Trey Brown might be better than Sidney Jones. And now at 2 and 5,
we know.
Let's play the rookie. All right. Carcar. Is it a he or she? Is Carcar a he or she? I always get this one. It's a he?
She.
It's a she. Okay. I apologize, Carcar. So she says out that BS taunting call. Yeah. This is the little flipperoo from Everett as he gets to the sideline and he tosses a ball to, the dude's chest and gets flagged for 15 yards.
Yeah. You know what? I'm fine with him getting called for it for taunting, but then you got to call it on taunting back when the guy threw the ball back at Everett.
I suppose I'd like to live in a world where both those things are just like, okay, you got big ass grown men who have, who've been in a weight room for 20 years playing a game where they smash each other's heads in. They could gently.
I think tossing a football at somebody, yeah, that can be one that's overlooked.
It should be okay, right? Yeah.
He didn't throw the football at him. He just tossed it at him.
It was like Rookie of the Year floated it. I mean, come on. It was ridiculous.
In from Frost to Matt Hasselbeck. That speech has got me hyped up. Dude was my favorite player for so long. I was fired up about this too. I wish they would have sent Matt into the locker room to fire up the team, because that speech, if you haven't seen it, you can go to Seahawks.com and you got to listen to it. Matt is so fired up. He gave so much credit to his teammates, to the fans. And that would have been fun to be in the stadium and listening to Matt just nail that speech.
Yeah, I was hoping they were going to put him in, right? Just like put him back in, like at halftime, like, hey, we got to play.
Sign him to his 1-day contract, and that way,
I don't think there's a soul listening to this, for those that are left, that would argue that Matt Hasselbeck at that moment would have done any worse. I just don't.
Handed it off to Alex Collins 8 straight times.
Yeah, good point. And Hasselbeck was sneaky with the run game. He actually was a pretty good runner of the football as well. So, all right, we got B-Wags biceps. He's hitting that, saying DK in Lattimore's head. I'll double up with Car again. She says in. Jamal Adams showing us why we paid him, or at least starting to. It's funny. We didn't say Jamal's name at all in these 40 minutes. Probably I think I'd say his best game of the season so far. Don't know if you have a take on that.
Yeah, best game of the season. It was good. I mean, it wasn't bad. So I think that we've become accustomed to see him making some dumb mistakes, and he was all over the field on this one. yeah, it was. I'd still like to see more, but he was awfully close on getting to Jameis a couple times.
Yep. And you had that nice deep breakup when Sidney Jones got beat pretty easily down the right-hand side. That was a nice play because he was turned to his left, still kind of checking out like that side of the field, realized where it was going, and he closed. He closed on that play and knocked it out at the right time. That was a beautiful, I think it was Nathan Ernst from the Real Hawk Talk gang said that was a very, very, what's his face? Earl Thomas-esque center field play out there. And I was like, you know what?
His change of direction and the speed to get there. Yeah, that was his best play.
Very nice.
Jason Bonnert with the outs. Oh, and Mrs. Jamal Adams comes in and says, woohoo. Jason Bonnert out an entire drive without a pass play. Out Geno taking timeouts. Oh, so many timeouts. On a timeout on a 3rd and 19. You're not going to convert anyway. Back it up 5 more yards and run your 3rd and 24 play rather than your 3rd and 19 play. Save the timeout.
So my tweet at that moment was like, literally, I was like, oh, we're taking a timeout on 3rd and 19 just so we could run the draw and by the way, it was a successful draw to Homer. He went for like 14 yards or so, 15 yards, and then we missed a freaking field goal. Anyway, I'm a little ornery.
Yeah. Out Kyle Fuller getting his backside handed to him by Davis. In my wife reminding me to take a deep breath.
That's nice. That is nice. We will flip it over to Design Pete's Beach House. Amy in the Discord. She goes, out, refs penalizing playing football. We talked about this, and I agree. She had it in, said Dunlap for a great first sack. This is one of those things. It's like, hey, Jamal likely played his best game of the year. I think Dunlap did too. I think we saw some of the dudes who've been asking for, like, we need more pressure, we need more consistency. Yeah, we actually got it, and it's the idea we lose that game.
Yeah, that was a really weird, unnecessary roughness call, I think, when Amy pointed that penalizing playing football call. It wasn't the one on Blair, but yeah, that was, frustrating calls all night. Josh Newman out our tackles and center, effectively allowing way too much pressure on Geno and not opening lanes for our running backs. And should I move on to all these out? Hong Kong Hawk put like 5 outs underneath all these outs.
he did what we do in a loss.
Right. Everything good about the last 10 years has crashed down. Quarterback who has never missed a game. Smart front office used to bring in people like Bennett and Averill for free, essentially, and uncover draft gold like Sherman, Chancellor, and Wilson. Now they trade away the future for an underperforming safety and draft duds like Affetti, McDowell, and Collier. McDowell's actually, I think, doing decently for the Browns. Clutch play where we knew that our quarterback would score when we needed last drive points, or the defense would hold a last drive lead. A coach who made play calls based on the strength of his personnel, a loud, enthusiastic home crowd that never, ever gave up or expected to lose. Now, if that's not a sign that a regime change is required, I'm not sure what is.
Yeah, and he stamps it with an out. And, we talked about this. This is, again, I think me staying in the radical middle on this one and everything else is shifting. I think it was Hawk blogger himself, Brian, put out a poll. I think it was him today, just saying, hey, taking a pulse, would you fire Pete Carroll like this season?
I think he's done that just, I think it's kind of a weekly pulse.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So I voted on that one, and mostly because I wanted to see what it was at. And I voted no. Like, I think it was actually, would you want Pete to return as coach in 2022? And I voted yes. And there was already hundreds of votes from what I could tell. It was at that point 25 to 75. So 75, 25, 75 in favor of canning Pete. That's how far the mob rule has swung on this one. And that's
after the game, I could understand that.
Oh, I get it. And then we got Flocktimus, another one I get. Flocktimus was mad at Pete for a different reason. He wrote, "Lying Pete, the liest liar who ever lied." And he talks about no DT, talk about Darryl Taylor. And Pete's quote was, "I'd be surprised if he didn't play." Well, I guess Pete was surprised because Darryl Taylor didn't play.
He did not play. Delwyn in. Defense did a good job holding the Saints to 13. Out. Myers missing 2 field goals that would have had us the win.
Yep, covered those, but they are true facts. We had Mickey Swank out on Twitter at Mickey Swank. He says, outs, back-to-back sacks to take him out of field goal range, then waste that timeout. He goes, that's all on you, Gino. Well, that's hard to argue with.
Bailey says major out to whoever is calling the plays. How do we target DK and Lockett 6 times combined? I think, well, I thought DK had 5 catches or five targets. Tyler, well, maybe, yeah.
Maybe it was 7. Maybe.
That's probably not far off. I
Yeah.
get it. We don't have Russ, but now we sit 3 games under 500. It's time to start taking risks. I'm sick of this archaic train of thought that's now killing us. But yeah, I was with Bailey on this, pointing out that Rashad Penny got 6 touches and yeah, about the same amount of looks that DK and Lockett get in the past.
I gave Penny some looks. All right. They weren't nice ones either. We did have, this is nice. Well, not really. We had Chris Farnsworth 14 out on Twitter. He goes, out Kyle Fuller for this whole game. Yeah, it's this is the one that keeps rubbing because I was on the D. Eskridge train. I liked the D. Eskridge pick, knowing that there were centers available that we passed on. And right at this point, I think I've got to wear a big fat O myself. And I think D. Eskridge could be a stud still going forward. So I think long-term it could be great, but right now, yeah, sure. Would we like to have Creed Humphrey? I think we would.
Yeah. I think just about any team would like to have Creed Humphrey since he's performing so well so far this year.
Yep.
Bailey back in. Bailey Lilborn on Twitter. Let me get to a DK, not give.
She's saying, let me get a DK in, I think.
Not for the big TD run, but for the seemingly getting the number 1 corner monkey off his back this year. Oh, yes. He went 5 for 96 and 2 touchdowns against Ramsey. And tonight, 1 for 84 and a touchdown. Yeah, good night for DK against the number 1.
Yeah, and he's just the continuation of the emerging as a true alpha in year 3. A lot of times it's a league year where you see lots of these big dudes step up. And we did see DK also caught a slant in this game, which we talked about. We talked about in the what if, saying, hey, if Tannehill could take a 2.5 step drop, AJ Brown could just do his thing off the line and they could just eat people up with slants. Well, AJ Brown and DK Metcalf are extremely similar body type, talent. AJ Brown's got some more ups and high point ability, but we're talking about just ridiculously premier athletes. So they could both do the same thing. Was happy to see that we did execute a slant with DK, and I want some more of that too. All right, so talking about wanting some more, we'll end on this one. Aaron Ashby, Ash Beetle 7 out on Twitter. Finally, Adams makes an impact. So ending on an in about the defense, about Adams. And hey, I mean, Brandon, 2-5. You got, if it's a money line, right? Like plus whatever, if the Seahawks were to, let's say, get to 9 wins. So if you were laying $100, what do you think? I don't have it in front of me. What do you think Vegas is saying is the odds that, yeah, Seattle somehow goes 7 and what does that become? 7-3?
Yeah, that, well, what? No, they have 5 losses right now. So 7-4.
No, because it'd be 9-8.
Okay. That's a lot of math to put me on the spot to do right now. You're asking me to do math on the record, math on the what you'd win for betting $100.
What's your percentage? What do you think? Like that we get to 9 wins, because that's what's going to take to maybe have a chance at the playoffs, right?
Yeah, this is a situation that is just unknown because we have no idea how Russ is going to be able to bounce back, to be able to grip the football, when he's going to be able to grip a football.
Factor that all in. Factor it in. Come on, act like the Whopper from War Games here. Give me an answer, man.
I think you would have to. Well, what is it if you bet 100 and then you win? I don't know, like 200 on top of that, and your 100 back. Probably
that's like a plus. That's like a plus 300. Yeah,
sure.
Gotcha.
Plus 300. Let's go with that.
Well, that's nice. 3 in, 3 out, 300. That's a nice way to wrap this thing up. And as always, it's 2-5, 5-2. At least it's fun. At least we get to come out here and do this and talk Seahawks and the From the Flock section. Everybody's still getting together. Again, I said it last week. Don't give up on this team just yet. I'm going to say it a
Wait till
little.
the bye week. Wait until the
Yeah,
bye.
yeah. I'm going to say it a little softer this week, but don't give up on this team just yet. Let's wait till the bye week. Let's got to find a way to beat the Jaguars. I know that sounds funny and it feels icky, but it's all the truth, man.
And I think with that,
There's only one thing left to say.
go Hawks.
Go Hawks.